Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced and welcome to another video on data modeling. Again, this is Alex Merced and you can like, subscribe, leave a comment if you enjoy these videos. Make sure to also follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn. And yeah, let's do this. So what I want to talk about today is the aggregate pattern in data modeling. So the idea behind this is that you have one model that acts as like an aggregator to sort of another model. The example we'll use is like order and like an order item. Okay. And basically the idea is that becomes the way you interact with both models is through the aggregate model. So first we'll build out the models and then we'll talk about how an application would then use these models to kind of understand the pattern. Okay. So in this case, if we're talking about like orders, okay, you're going to have an orders model, which is going to have an ID, okay, and then it's going to have, let's say customer ID. We won't build out the customer model. We'll have, and then we're going to have line items, which will probably be like an array of IDs. Line items. Okay. And cool. So then you would have sort of a line item model, okay, which would have an ID. And the idea is that it would belong to a particular order. Okay, so basically you would have that order ID saying, hey, this particular item is purchased as a particular part of a particular order. Okay, and as part of that order, we're buying a particular product, so it would be the product ID, which would be part of a separate product model. Okay, and then you would have like quantity. Okay, cool. And that would be used to kind of be able to price, because you'd be able to pull the price from the product ID, multiply by the quantity. You may decide you may still want to have like a price column that you populate based on the price at the time, because again, that product's price might change, but it doesn't necessarily change in terms of that order. So you may still want to have a price column, even though it may match that field in another field, but they may not always be the same. Okay. So in that case, I might still want a price there. So that way I can always calculate the quantity and price and always get sort of the right answer. Even if the related product in another table, actual price changes. Okay, so this would essentially be the pattern. So the idea is that really when you build out the application, the customer would basically interact with their order. They would add line items to their order. So like when you add a product to your Amazon shopping cart or you subtract it, what you're interacting with is the order model. You never edit the specific things in your cart. You add and subtract things from your cart. So the abstraction you're interacting with is the order. And then these line items then get aggregated, because what's the real thing you want is the total price of the order. So these become the things that get aggregated by the aggregator model here. And essentially that's the aggregator pattern. So what would happen is that I have like, my first order, and let's say I'm customer 1. Okay, and then I might have, line items, and this, we'll say it's an array field, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then we can say, okay, 1, 2, no need for that comma, 2, 3. These all belong to order 1. Here I'm buying product ID 2. Doesn't matter what the product ID is. We'll say at the time I'm buying one of each, and the price is 55, 45, 50. Okay. So with this, basically now with my customer order, the application can then pull up which items that I'm buying to get their image photo, their image, other description of the product from that product model somewhere, because the product ID is part of the line item, but also can then calculate the price using the quantity and price fields. Okay, but again, the end user, the person using the application, never interacts with this. Okay, I'm never sitting there as the customer, updating the price and quantity. I'm merely adding things to my cart and subtracting things from my cart. The way from an application level I interact with is through the order model, which then abstracts away the line item model. So this is the idea, is that you have that model that's sort of the aggregator of the individual items. So that's called the aggregate pattern in data modeling. Again, this is a pretty clean-cut example, but you can think of other situations where, you know, you can think of like a to-do list, where basically you might, if you have an application where you have many to-do lists, you know, users might interact with the list, but then you might have list items which represent the individual to-dos in there. That might be, that could possibly fit into this description, but this is a pretty clear-cut one because you're aggregating the numbers. So with that, I'll leave you guys. I'll see you guys in another video. Have a great one. Enjoy.